The station's central docking bay was a chaotic whirl of merchants, smugglers, and travelers from countless star systems. Neon signs flickered in alien script, casting strange reflections across the polished metal floors. I guided the small child through the crowd, careful not to attract attention. "Stay close," I whispered, holding the child's hand tightly. "We'll find someone who can help." The child nodded silently, clutching a ragged stuffed creature, something I assumed was a toy from its home world. Its eyes, large and reflective, reminded me more of a Zerathian than a Terran. But what did I know? I had never dealt with alien children before. I approached a kiosk operated by a tall, silver-skinned humanoid who glanced at me with suspicion. "Lost child?" they asked. "Yes," I replied. "Found her near the asteroid belt. Can you help?" The kiosk attendant's eyes widened slightly, and they leaned closer, whispering, "Do not approach the palace. That child might be more important than you realize." I frowned. "What do you mean?" "Some things are better left alone, human," the attendant said, before disappearing into the crowd. I shook my head, gripping the child's hand tighter. "Guess we'll figure that out the hard way." Middle, the Queen's secret. By the time I navigated the winding corridors of Zerath Prime, whispers began circulating. People stared, and a few low-ranking officers murmured behind their breath. The child, could it be? I didn't understand, and frankly, I didn't care. My priority was keeping the child safe. Yet, as I entered the central plaza, the crowd parted in a way that suggested royal presence. The air thickened with tension. Guards armed with energy weapons flanked the perimeter. I stopped in my tracks. Then she appeared. Queen Heir of Zerath, immense in presence, regal beyond comprehension, her armor shimmering with integrated energy lines that glowed faintly in the plaza lights. She walked with a grace that made even the most battle-hardened officers seem clumsy. Her eyes, vast and expressive, locked onto the child in my arms. Time slowed. "You found her?" Her voice was both thunderous and delicate, echoing across the plaza. I stepped forward cautiously. I did. She was alone. No one seemed to know where she came from. The Queen's gaze pierced me. "And yet, you brought her here, to the heart of Zerath Prime?" "Yes," I said simply. "I wanted to make sure she was safe." A murmur ran through the crowd. I realized slowly that they knew something I didn't. The Queen knelt slowly, coming to eye level with the child. She extended her hand, but the child recoiled slightly, clutching my sleeve. "Do you know who I am?" the Queen asked softly, her voice now gentle, almost maternal. The child shook its head, eyes wide. The Queen's expression hardened. She turned toward her guards, speaking in a language I couldn't comprehend. They relaxed slightly, but did not leave my side. Then, to my shock, she spoke again, this time in Terran. "You have returned her to me," Heir said, looking at me with a mixture of awe and suspicion. "You do not yet know the weight of what you carry." I swallowed. I just wanted to keep her safe. That's all. She studied me for a long moment, then nodded. "That is remarkable. Humans are reckless, yet capable of surprising virtue." The truth revealed. Inside the palace, I followed cautiously. The child, still quiet, clung to me as we passed through corridors adorned with alien tapestries depicting battles and celestial maps. Finally, we entered a grand chamber with a high ceiling where the Queen paused. "This child," she said, her eyes glimmering with a mix of fear and hope, "is mine. Hidden from the galaxy for protection, from enemies that would destroy her if they knew of her existence." I froze. "You mean this is your child?" "Yes," she whispered. "I had no choice but to conceal her. And yet, fate brought a human to return her to me." I stared at the child. Somehow, in the chaos of drifting through the asteroid belt, dodging rogue drones, and navigating the station, we had unknowingly become part of the Queen's secret. The child looked up at me and smiled faintly, a shy, trusting smile. My heart ached with a strange combination of pride and fear. I had no idea how significant my actions were until this moment. Tests of trust. Even after the revelation, I wasn't immediately welcomed as an honored guest. The Queen was cautious. "Why should I trust a human with my child?" she asked. "I didn't know," I said honestly. "I only wanted to protect her. I didn't know she belonged to anyone, much less an empress." Elira studied me carefully. "You acted without knowledge of consequence," she said. "Yet your actions reflect courage and integrity. Those are traits the galaxy rarely sees in your kind." Over the following days, I assisted the palace guards in securing the perimeter, advised on minor technical repairs, and even helped the child regain fragments of memory. Each day, the Queen observed quietly, her expression slowly shifting from suspicion to cautious respect. I realized that this was more than a simple act of kindness. It was a test of human character, one that I hadn't known I was taking part in. Crisis, an external threat. As the days passed, an urgent alert echoed through the palace. A rival faction, seeking to claim the child as leverage against the Queen, launched a covert raid on Zerath Prime. Alarms blared, energy shields flared, and the palace was thrown into chaos. I found myself in the central control chamber, alongside Elira and her senior officers. "We need every hand," the Queen commanded. "Protect the child at all costs." Without thinking, I sprang into action. Using my knowledge of Terran engineering, I devised a rapid energy reroute, reinforcing shields around the inner palace while simultaneously redirecting power to the defensive drones. The rival faction breached the outer perimeter, but our defenses held. Elira moved with lightning precision, directing her forces. Meanwhile, I coordinated the engineering solutions that allowed our defenses to hold until reinforcements arrived. When the attack finally ended, the palace was still intact, and the child remained safe. The Queen approached me, her usual regal composure softened by gratitude. "You risked much," she said, her voice steady but warm. "Yet you acted selflessly. It is rare to see humans act without expectation of reward." I shrugged. I did what anyone would do. I didn't know she was anyone's child. She smiled faintly, a gesture that conveyed more than words. "And yet, by returning her to me, you have proven that humans, when they choose, can be guardians of the galaxy's most precious secrets." Ending, recognition, and reflection. In the aftermath, the child was safely integrated back into the palace, under careful watch and protection. I was offered a place as a trusted advisor and technical consultant, a role I never imagined when I first spotted the lost child drifting in the void. More importantly, I had gained the respect of one of the most powerful beings in the galaxy. Elira, the Queen of Zerath, trusted me, a human, to assist in protecting her heir and to act as a liaison between her dominion and Terran explorers. One quiet evening, I found myself standing on a balcony overlooking the neon-lit cityscape of Zerath Prime. The child played nearby, laughing softly in a language I was slowly beginning to understand. The Queen watched from afar, her presence a constant but comforting force. I realized then that a simple act, picking up a lost child, had led to a profound shift in the way humans were perceived in the galaxy. Courage, integrity, and compassion mattered, even in a universe dominated by empires, warships, and political intrigue. Sometimes, the smallest choices have the largest consequences. Sometimes, a human's simple kindness can change the course of history. And sometimes, a lost child is more than just a child. They are a bridge between worlds, a reminder that even in the vastness of space, the human spirit can shine brighter than the stars. As the stars glittered above the city, I knew that my life, and humanity's place in the galaxy, would never be the same again.